see
Are
what
we
we're gonna say.
live?
Howdy. I can go the typical A&M way.
Howdy, y'all.
Howdy, y'all. Uh, I don't. I can't see any comments though. For when people join.
Oh, are we live?
Oh, is it on? Is it on YouTube? Cool, 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 cool. Probably
I
should
need that
start
YouTube
charging my
link.
laptop before these events. Uh, oh, hey Bryce.
Can I get that YouTube link?
Just click YouTube and you go to FBCVA Students.
All right.
Or if you're subscribed like me, you can just click on it.
I am on one account, but I don't remember which account.
Jace told me not to sit by him because we both had laptops.
Hey, guys.
So it's kind of rude. Hey
We
everybody.
are back.
When
Ooh,
does
people
school
can
get
see
done?
our feet today.
They can see our
This is not-
feet.
is this
Usually
on?
we don't have the table. Like I hide the tablecloth.
Jace,
What?
this is really quiet.
I can fix that.
Thanks.
Let's see.
Which one is that?
Testing, 1, 2.
Okay, keep talking.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Bryce.
Hi there.
We're still trying to figure stuff out, guys. So.
Are we live right now on YouTube?
That's fine.
Keep talking, Lexi.
I'm talking. Hello.
There we
That's
go.
me. There
It
I am.
says we're live, but
I don't see us on
see,
YouTube.
like it pulled up.
Oh.
Wait, are those comments up there?
I hear them. They're commenting.
Ding. Wait,
Do I
what's
need
the
to go
noise?
up there and read them?
What's the noise?
They're not on there?
It's like YouTube just doesn't have the stream going on right now.
Oh, okay. So guys,
Yeah, I'm
what's
not
our
seeing
poll
it.
for today? We gotta
Hold
put
on.
it out nice and early.
Let me look at these comments.
Walk right up to the
John.
camera.
It's
Right?
Ben and
No.
Cam.
Oh, Ben
One
and
step to
Kim,
your
what's up,
left.
guys?
One
I
step
bet
to
you'll
your
never
left,
guess
brother.
what they said.
They said, "Hey."
One said hi, one said hello.
Aw,
Thanks, Ben and Cam.
miss you guys.
How did you get that wrong, Jace?
What?
Yeah.
You said hey, and neither of them said
It's
that.
Hi and hello.
Oh.
Ow.
Well,
I don't know. I do. I think Ben commented.
Y'all can
to
come say
Cam.
hi. Come here.
our kids are in the live studio audience today.
We have them holding the applause sign and the laughter. Hi, L.
But hey, it's good to see you guys today. Make sure that you are inviting people. You can still win the pizza straight to your house. I'm giving away the pizza tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Did you send the link out?
What?
Did you send the link
Oh
out?
no, I didn't. Oh,
Here's
it's
one.
Cam's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Kim.
Happy birthday.
Shout out, Cam. Cam, what'd you do for your birthday today? Get it? Just kidding.
That's a good one. Hopefully nothing.
Hopefully nothing, but also we appreciate you, Cam, and miss you. But Cam, how old are you? I need to know. 15?
12.
12. That's not a good joke, John. It's
That's
lazy
not-
writing.
That's lazy riding now.
Can
That-
everybody hear Bryce? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear Bryce.
Well, hello and howdy.
That's what you
Gigamags.
said?
Oh, hello and
Well,
howdy.
hello and howdy. L
There's
thought that
L.
was funny.
Hey, El. El, what'd you do today?
What'd you do today?
Helped me with my car.
But, Kim, I may even send you a pizza
Ooh.
for your birthday.
He's-
I think he
Wait, we
deserves
need to
it.
fact check this.
I think he deserves it. I mean, Emily was the one who said it,
Oh, okay.
but so
Look.
so I think we can definitely believe him. But bye, El.
Bye, El.
We'll see
See
you
ya,
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, L.
But hey, what's our poll today? I need to know.
God, I never think about
Yeah,
it.
I don't think about it too.
Why do
Yeah,
y'all
it is.
never? We do this every week.
Okay.
Exactly.
I know, we do this every week.
It's all about the banner, Jace.
It's all about the banter.
What's a
Um,
social media question?
I do the one every week, and I feel like everybody hates my questions.
No, they're okay.
What's your favorite?
That's-
What's your
They're
favorite social
just
media
alright.
page?
No, that's dumb.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that one. Everyone's gonna say
Thanks.
Tweeter
Instagram.
or
No,
TikTok.
they're not. They're gonna say
What about
Snapchat.
TikTok?
Snap. That's social media.
I would
Yes.
say so.
For sure.
Yeah.
People. That's the way people text, communicate.
Interesting.
So their parents can't see it.
Ooh, don't do that. We'll talk about that tonight.
Come
maybe.
on. Right? Is that false? Is that fake news?
No, I mean it's true, but it's probably not the best.
Don't worry. I just looked up 20
Oh, there we
poll
go.
questions,
There-
icebreaker questions.
Oh,
For your
okay,
next
John.
presentation.
Let's not use our brains. Let's just Google.
Listen,
That's
my brain
fine.
is fried
Amen.
right
You
now.
said that my brain question, whatever that was dumb.
Whoa.
Well, see, some of these is aren't like. One's how old are you? That's
Oh,
not.
that's not.
That sounds like a trap.
Yeah,
That's a weird icebreaker question.
Yeah.
Just being like,
How old are you?
How old are you? Bryce, answer.
Ay, ay, ay.
No.
How did you get
Cam
here?
says, "Whoa, I'll take a pizza." Cam, what kind of pizza do you want? I got you, bro.
Why did you decide to join this event today?
Okay, this
Yeah,
is terrible.
it's meat
What's on
lovers
your-
bus.
What?
I'd like to meet someone from marketing, sales, or production.
What are
What?
you looking at?
These are icebreaker
worst.
questions.
This is like for like a business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
okay.
and I assume they think you can go outside in these.
Oh, okay.
One was if you could time travel, would you go to the past, or stay in the present, or go to the future?
Ooh.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
If you
That's
could
good.
time travel,
Yes.
where would you go? The
Hmm.
past or the future?
Or
You can only choose
or-
one.
Or you could just stay in the now.
But
Ben says
No.
present, but that's not time traveling, is it? Whoa.
I mean, we're always time traveling.
what is time?
True.
Time is a construct.
That's a good one, Bryce. We're all time travelers.
I would stay in the now.
That's so boring. I would go in the past.
So would I.
There's
What-
murder
what
hornets
time?
in the future.
lazy riding. Lazy riding now. That was one of the best tweets you told me about
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's
how
scary stuff, though.
It was like
We're
it was like
introducing
how
murder hornets into
Yeah, it's like-
this
it-
lazy riding into in May.
for real though. It's I don't like that you can really see my feet in this. I
Hey,
would have
man.
not worn flip flops if that
Yeah,
was
I
the
can see
case.
him for real, like a lot. Everyone zoom in on John's feet.
Can you see him
We're gonna
now?
have to turn Bryce up. I can't hear him very well.
Hmm.
I bet you guys can hear him, but we can't.
I can
Great.
hear him. You're just old.
All right, y'all keep talking.
I would.
Where would
say-
y'all go?
Huh? Wait. What? When would y'all travel to?
I would go to the 20s.
Why?
I
For the
don't
Great
know.
You are in
Depression?
the 20s.
I mean, 1920s.
For the
I
Great
see.
Depression?
No, that was in the 30s.
That was the 30s.
Shoot.
Got
The
him.
roaring 20s.
Led to the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh. Just kidding. I just see those tweets all the time. They're really funny. 'cause
I would
it's like-
go. I would go to. I don't know. I think.
I think the thousands.
I think I would go to the future, guys.
I think the thousands. And
I would go
thousands are
future,
pretty
future.
too.
Here I come.
I would do
see-
future.
I would go to the future because I already know what happens in the past.
Oh, I thought you were about to say.
Look,
You
here's
know,
the thing about
obviously
the
not. You
past.
didn't even know where the Great Depression was.
I kind of knew a general area timetable.
True. My
Uh,
bad.
In the past, you don't have internet, you don't have plumbing, and you don't have air conditioning.
Yeah, picture that.
No.
Sorry,
about that,
I
Liz?
I won't go back to the 20s.
I'm good.
Change my mind.
No, Liz. Keep
So
strong.
when
Keep strong.
in the future would you go? Like 3000? I would go to the year of 3000 just for the song of Jonas Brothers.
I
knew
hope
you'd
at
say
that year that song is completely forgotten.
But this song went multi-platinum. Everybody bought their 7th album.
John,
The
please
actual
stop.
Kelly
Please
Clarkson.
stop.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Mellow Hello. I've never seen a Terminator, so I don't know what that means.
Wait, Cam, what kind of meat lovers? I'm getting I'm getting from Domino's.
1920. Why 1920?
Tell me, Cam. I need to know.
That's what.
That's like a you brainwash them,
said.
Liz.
Yeah.
You
1920
brainwashed them.
for sure. That's what he said.
1924.
No, for
Dude.
sure.
Oh, for sure.
He's
Explain.
Jackson is like for sure.
Like
he's
that's
going to 1920.
not the 10s, 1910s.
Yeah.
1950s.
No. I think. I don't know, guys. I
I
don't
think
know.
like the pyramid days would be kind of cool.
I'm not
Do
building
I don't
that
know.
thing.
I don't
The
know when
pyramids
that
were built.
was. Aliens.
Aliens.
Drop them in. It's the only
Oh, man.
logical explanation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
If you go-
1918, so I can get the $18 million Superman comic.
Very okay. Well,
That's
that
fair.
okay.
But
But
can
then
you
that
go
would-
back to the
no,
future?
That's a good movie.
All right, hot take. I cannot stand those movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen
They're
it.
a little
So.
The first one's good. The first one's good.
It's too old.
It's a hot take for
Yeah.
me.
You
It's one
know,
of
like,
those.
There's some movies that we absolutely love, but probably like the students now would hate the movies that we grew
Extreme
up on
Days.
because it's something that it was just like it
It's
was just a
glory.
little bit past their
Yeah,
time.
All right, one more poll question before we get into this.
Okay.
I need to know. That was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Well, it's
Which
either
is-
that or a business question. So
Jackson Warner, 1912, so I can be on the Titanic.
Did you-
Yikes.
Man.
Do you know how that ends?
Yeah.
could've
Did you
told
see
him
the
to
end of that
avoid-
movie?
watch out for that iceberg.
Hey guys.
Just so you
Might
know,
need to
there's an
go
iceberg
around
up there.
that.
I
That's a
can
good one.
save a
I
lot
like
of people.
it.
But if you stopped it, then we never would have
I
had
would
Leonardo
say,
DiCaprio.
How, like,
Yeah.
would the Titanic still be that famous if it didn't crash?
Yeah, it was just
Mm.
another boat. Actually, yeah, it
Oh,
wasn't.
no.
Just
No,
like,
it was a
it's
huge boat. It was the biggest boat of its time.
But
They
let's
wouldn't
be
Yeah.
make a movie out
Let's
of
be
it.
real.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you gonna
Wouldn't
watch a
have been
movie that's just about a big boat?
Yeah,
So if you go back and stop it, then it wouldn't really matter because it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
that. Right.
true.
Yeah, like I bet they built a bigger boat
You're
next
right.
year.
I'm sorry.
Wait, what's the next poll question? Last one.
I don't know, man.
I thought you had one.
I can't
more.
carry the team.
Beach or mountains?
What is it?
Beach or mountains?
Oh,
Mountains.
beach or mountains? That's a good one,
Beach.
Bryce.
So
Both
Liz is
beach.
just jump on it.
I want to hike up a mountain to a beach.
That
I like
exists.
both.
Huh?
You don't hike up a
Mm,
mountain to a beach.
That's not true.
Mountains
You
get you
can live
closer
on
to
the
Where are
God.
you
mountain
going?
And then go down the mountain.
Yeah,
to
you
the
gotta go
beach.
down.
Amen, John.
That's
to
true.
the
Amen.
beach.
I'd
That would
rather
be
just
an
go to the
island.
mountains.
Mountain for sure.
I'm doing mountain.
I'm
Yeah.
doing
Mountains you can snowboard. Come on.
Mountains,
I want
beach.
both, but
On the
I'll
beach,
do
you have
beach.
sand in your like socks, and
I
Why
don't
do you
wear
wear socks?
socks.
you
on
don't
the
wear
beach.
socks on the beach.
You shoebie.
Shoe
Can't
bee.
stand that.
I wear flippers.
Ugh,
My guy,
Chase
John.
does too.
I wear
Flippers or flip flops?
flippers right here.
John, you're my guy. I wear shoes on the beach.
Yeah. I don't go to the beach often, as you can tell.
Neither does Chase.
Tell us more.
So
I can't talk.
You can't tell at all.
No, I can't
Um,
talk.
Oh, can't talk.
Like
doesn't.
I
Oh
can't.
yeah, yeah. I
He's
thought
the
you just
same.
meant yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I will say
I
at
would,
the
like,
beach,
Go ahead.
spike ball on the beach is really fun.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
That is
Such
so
a-
fun.
Yeah, we do that.
'Cause you can
at
die.
leadership camp.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh,
Shout out
RIP.
leadership game.
A lot of them are saying mountains except Ben, and Ben's wrong.
Ben
yeah.
is a nice young man. You better
Ben
keep
only
his name
drinks
out of your
sweet
mouth.
tea. I've
Cam,
never-
you never told me what kind of pizza you want. You said meat lovers, but like what?
I think
meat.
that's just a
That's
it's
it.
just a meat
It's a
lover's
meat
pizza.
lover's pizza.
Yeah.
But I know, but what meat though?
Well, if you just order a meat lovers, they'll put the right meats on it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Just ring a Domino's and be like, hey, I want a
wanna
large meat
choose the
lovers.
meats.
It's like Canadian
And they'll
bacon, like
hand it to you.
sausage and
I want
That's it.
pepperoni, bacon,
Ooh.
and sausage.
Mm.
I
Guess
don't
what I'm
agree with
drinking.
bacon
That's
on
what
pizza.
I'm drinking right now, John.
Ben said, "Guess what I'm drinking right now, John."
Ben. We need to have an intervention.
What?
Ben's kidneys are gonna
Ben
fail
literally, I remember walking back or
because he
came-
drinks
it
so much
was-
sweet tea.
It was before we
Oh.
came here for Sunday school. What, like 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
9:30? Ben walks over to Diamonds and gets a sweet tea. It's just like
What's wrong with that?
Jared drank Dr. Pepper before like we went for Sunday school. I was like, dude, that's not good. That's not good for you.
Hey man,
And then he started doing it though.
it's okay
because,
though.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
got to do it.
Bad habits.
speaking of bad habits,
What a
Talking about
segue.
dating today.
Oh
That
no.
was a great transition.
That was
I always try to
Yeah.
pick my spots.
4 out of
I
10.
need a pillow so I can be on y'all's level.
oh yeah, that
Oh.
chair is
Do you-
also.
And here's what
No.
this here. Let me just put some disclaimers on this talk today. This is not how to be better at dating. Like we're not gonna. This is here's 5 steps to get a girlfriend. That's not what we're talking about today.
Dang it.
I know junior high boys are closing their apps right now. But what this is we're gonna look at dating or even the cultural idea of dating from a biblical standpoint, and we've done that the last couple weeks with our parents and with friends, and this is just kind of a continuation, looking at all the relationships that you guys might be in at your time period in your life, and dating. Some of you are like, this isn't going to apply to me. I don't even want to date. Some of you are in this like mode of you think you want to, but you don't. Like you're very unaware of all the things that can go down, like while you're dating. But we're just really gonna have a conversation about a few things. And one of the first things that I wanted to bring up, I forgot to bring my questions up. Whoops.
Go ahead, John.
I have it right here.
Oh, John has it
Yeah.
prepared.
So the first question
Oh, yeah.
is just, what is the purpose of dating?
What is the purpose of dating? Purpose of dating. So I'm going to open the kind of floor for that question. John is like locked and ready for this. Like,
Let me tell
Go
you.
for it,
he
John.
he's prepared harder for this segment than he did for any class
It's okay,
at Texas
me
A&M.
Okay, well that's not hard. I was a very bad student.
So, what's the purpose of dating? Someone.
Or
What?
I think you could too say like not only like what is the purpose of dating, but just like what's the goal of primary goal of dating.
like
I
the
know,
same
I know it's the
that's
same
like the
thing.
same
I know it's
word.
the same thing, but it's not.
It's a like the thesaurus. Thesaurus.
Thesaurus, but it's just a good way to think about it. Just
Yeah, for sure.
multiple ways of viewing the question.
The
but
goal.
The goal, the purpose.
Marriage.
Marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
Okay.
John?
Well, like the reason you date someone is to know if you like want to marry them, and you date for the purpose of marriage.
'Kay.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, do we get into that later?
Yes.
Okay, so I kind of won't.
Right.
That would just be what I say for now.
Okay. Marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
that's-
right.
Yeah.
I would also come up with with another question. You ready?
Go for it. Yeah.
Just thinking too, like, what is our purpose on Earth? I think that's like a better approach to this question because we were talking earlier just about how I think it's a cultural thing and a misconception of like we all kind of view marriage as the end goal, like the pinnacle of life, and like a marriage and a family and a house and a great job, like that's the purpose of life, to be successful, to be this, like fill in the blank. But a lot of us do it for the we put love at like the mountaintop with
Right.
someone,
Yeah.
and that's not the goal of life. That's not the goal, is to be married and have a family. And so if you're restructuring that question and looking at it differently, it's the purpose of us on earth is to glorify God,
Yeah.
to know him more, to love him more, to love God, to love our neighbor, and proclaim him to the nations. So that's marriage and dating and all that's like not even in the equation.
Right.
So when I look at it that way, I like what you said. Yes, it is for marriage, which is biblical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think to kind of piggyback off Lexi, I think one of the biggest cultural lies is that romantic love is the highest form of love. And so to deny me a certain aspect of romantic love, or to even not have that romantic love, you feel like either an outcast of society, or you feel incomplete.
or like you're missing out.
Yeah,
or-
and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about our culture is that type of love, romantic love, is the highest form of love. And like you said, like that idea, is a form of delight, right? If you attain this sort of love, then you'll finally be satisfied, like you'll finally feel delight. And what the Bible talks about is that the highest form of love and the highest form of delight is a relationship with God. That's what we were created for. Like, we were created to know and to love Him. And so what often people do is they, instead of searching for this relationship with God, is they kind of import people and make them God.
Yeah.
That's
Worship them.
the
Yes.
object. Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
and so like one of the things that we see is just like this that's permeated through our culture is, you need to have that person like that can that you can travel with, that you can snuggle up under the stars with, right? It's like this cheesy country song, like over and over. But like if I get that, I'll finally be satisfied. So I think the biggest I think one of the core tenets that I want to bring like into this conversation today is like the decisions that you make in dating relationships today have a lasting effect. So the thing, and that goes for anything, like any decision that you make today has an impact on tomorrow. I mean, good or bad. And the decisions that you make, who you date, inside the relationship, all those things have an impact into who you are and even into your marriage. And so, any other thoughts on purpose?
I do.
Well, Bryce's Skype crashed.
It
Oh,
did?
it did?
He just texted me. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's
is
why
he
he's making the
frozen?
same face right
oh,
now.
I just
Oh,
thought,
weird.
Yeah.
I
He's
really
very,
just thought he was
he is
looking
very
at us.
Okay, go,
intently
Lexi.
listening.
I'll talk.
Yeah, I was just thinking too on this part of like what was the purpose of dating, and ultimately it's to lead you into marriage, which is a biblical thing. It does talk about marriage in the Bible. So the thought is like, okay, so if the point of dating is marriage, and the majority of you that are listening are in school, then you probably aren't ready for marriage. I don't think you would disagree with me with that. So you probably shouldn't be dating because there's not much point to it right now. If you're, right, there's not much point to it right now if you're not essentially
Right.
can get
Yeah.
married,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's definitely supposed to be intentional,
Yes.
and I think that's where it's kind of countercultural now, is that it's not
Yes.
intentional.
Yes. I think we're going to get into that more, but I totally agree that intentionality. So I say this is what the purpose of dating is. It's for marriage, and we'll get into next week on marriage. Like, what is the purpose of marriage, which points others towards a relationship between Christ and the church, which you probably should understand that first before you even think about dating, which we'll get into next week. But and then intentionally, like what you're saying, and then intentionally looking for someone that has that common goal with you
Right.
and can walk towards marriage together. But
Yeah.
it's not just to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's not some like fling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is also kind of like in one of the questions about cultural dating. Just cultural dating is seen as nonchalant, fun, just something to be in, and like really relaxed. Like it's just kind of like not putting title on things. You can end it whenever you want. So yeah, there's a lot of purposes of dating for that reason. Yeah, the end goal of dating is to marry or get married, but like what you're saying, it's like that's not the top. That's not the end. Like our end goal.
Right.
That's just the end goal of dating. So.
What do you think, then, would you say, like, off of what you were talking about, how does culture view dating? Like, what is their purpose for dating? You mentioned a couple things. What would you guys say?
Yeah, Bryce, hop in on that question if you don't mind.
Yeah. Thanks for getting me back on the screen.
You're good.
So, as I was looking through this stuff, it's not like I haven't fallen victim to this. Back in high school, I went through all the same stuff and was just as in it. I mean, it was, for me personally, there were two big things. One, it was to fill the void of loneliness. That's a big thing. It's like, why do you date? Because you're kind of lonely and they're kind of lonely, and maybe together you'll be happy. I mean, that's a big deal with it. And then the other one, I mean, there is a lot of like, especially in a small town, status that comes along with dating. Who you date tells a lot of like what social class you're in, so to speak. Like, if you date a popular person, you're popular. If you don't date a popular person, you might not be. And it's like, that's just such a twisted view. But I mean, it's real. It's like there's status and there's like loneliness, and it's all about fulfilling my needs of this person can give me happiness, and I can not be alone anymore, and maybe I can even be cool. And so like culture puts it as a very selfish thing to where you're both trying to get something out of it rather than what you can give to the relationship and give to the other person. And then ultimately, like you said, glorifying God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing about cultural dating. It is very selfish, because like when you get into it, it's like a lot of I want this, I want attention, I want to be loved, I want to have somebody there for do this, I want to be like have pleasure, just different things like that. And just that's very, I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but it is very countercultural. Like Christian dating is like, when you date, you want to have purity, you want to glorify God, you want to aim towards marriage. And even like in cultural dating, like if you're like, oh, I'm still want to date to get married, it's like, yeah, like that's cool. Like there's still people that want to do that, but ultimately, like, you're in that relationship though for like other reasons. Like,
Yeah.
you are wanting to get married, but you still like might not like display purity and just have the healthiest relationship. So
Right.
that's yeah. And one thing I heard, just like, I was listening to a podcast on my drive back on Monday, and they're just talking about cultural dating as opposed to like Christian dating. Christian dating is honestly a lot harder than cultural dating.
Yeah.
There's so many more, not I would say guidelines, but like, yeah, you want to practice purity, you want to work towards a relationship, you want to be very intentional and open, and like it is hard.
Probably takes more work.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work. And then like,
Yeah.
and like also the aspect of like, it isn't super casual as cultural dating is, where they're just like,
Right.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm talking to this person and I'm also talking to these people. Like, there's that aspect to it. But Christian dating is hard, but it's also worth it
Right.
Yeah.
in the end, as opposed
Yeah.
to
I would
cultural.
argue though that if you're in a relationship with someone and you both have that common goal to glorify God through your relationship, and the end goal would be marriage, and so you both are on the same page, and you're setting up those boundaries, those guidelines that God has also told you to do in Scripture, that it's more freeing. I
Yeah.
know, like, my relationships that were centered around myself, that were all self-serving, like those examples that you guys gave, that it's just like, it's all about me. I just want you to worship me, to manipulate you, to have my pleasure, you know what I mean, like what you're saying. And those things lead to a lot of harmful sin for you and the people around you, things that hurt you bad, hurt others bad, that end in drama and brokenness, and it destroys lots of areas of your
Yeah.
life. Where in a more sacred, biblical type relationship honors God and is healthy and it's good. God calls it
Yeah.
like good. You know what I mean? Like, you delight in that person and you are keeping each other focused on Christ, and that's a good thing. And it's like,
Right.
that's a good relationship to be in. And
For sure.
Yeah.
So you put up boundaries, but they actually help you at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things with that, if you're doing things well, breakups don't have to be an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Right.
They can be hard, like they'll be hard regardless. But all the drama and stuff that you're saying that sometimes comes along with it, a lot of times that stems from either people who just weren't ready to date, and that happens, and I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then also just you weren't very disciplined.
Yeah.
Like, and so I remember Coach Hardcastle giving a lesson on this, and he described it like two people standing around a bonfire throwing fuel on it, like wood. A lot of times people focus on making this bonfire as big as they possibly can and looking at the flames, like the emotions and how good they feel. And then one day they're like, wait, I don't even like the person on the other side. I don't even like the person I'm standing next to. I've been so focused on the feelings and the emotions that I didn't even get to know this person. I didn't even get to realize like they're not even right for me. And that's when the nightmare comes in.
Yeah.
And so it is freeing because you can do it, and like you can have a dating relationship that at the end of it you leave as better people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like something else with that too. It's just like, yeah, you don't even like if you don't have the Christian focus on it, you don't even know really if you like that person or not. You're just in it for what you get out of it.
Yeah, it
And
goes
like-
along with the idea of the transactional friendships.
Yeah.
Of like, it's not, you're not there to serve the other person. You're not there to, even glorify God through the relationship. It's to glorify yourself, or to, have like you get something out of it. Like
Yeah.
you said before.
Yeah.
But
Like that. I forgot what his name is that wrote it, but the single dating,
Jesus.
engaged, married. I don't think he wrote that.
Stuart? Ben Stewart?
Yeah, Ben Stewart. Yeah, but he just talked about the aspect of like the main reason for purity in Christian relationships is like, well, not the main reason, but one of the reasons is like once you introduce that factor of it, that like you kind of focus on that, and then like if you get too involved in that, you might start having feelings for them in a way like that's like you don't like their personality, but you like the physical aspect of it.
yeah,
And it's like once you introduce that, and then you just get going with that, and like you get further down the road, and you're just like, wait a second, do I even like this person? Do I just like what we're doing? And then
right.
and then that obviously makes things harder to like deal with breakup.
Yeah.
Because then you're like emotionally attached to them. And
Yeah.
then, but yeah, that's like I don't know, one of the best things I've heard about, and I would say that is counterculture, was from Breakaways, like the guy that does Breakaway TA, and he just was talking about dating in the aspect of like when you're like in the beginning of the relationship, it's like make sure that you tell the other person like, hey, you don't have to be with me for like any reason, like you always like not have an escape, but you don't have to feel like you're trapped in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to have the fear of like, oh, if I break up with them, like this is gonna like do this and so on. And I was like, when I heard that, and I did that actually in like the last one, in the last relationship, where like, and it was just freeing though, because like then you like feel like this,
Yeah.
like you don't feel like you're pressuring them
Right.
into staying in it and
Yeah.
just all that. So I would say that's very countercultural thing to do too.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
so, when you're thinking about countercultural ways, one of the things that's interesting about the Bible is there's really no category about dating. Like there isn't a passage like in John that said that Jesus lays out dating. Like that's just not. And I think that's part of the problem with the way that we view Scripture. Scripture is not about this like guidebook to living. It's a story, a redemptive story about how God sent His Son to redeem a people. And so to say, hey, I'm going to go read the Bible about dating, that's really not the point. The point, but what we have to understand is that there is wisdom and there's guidelines that the Bible does give us. And so it's interesting when you view that, because there's nothing about dating. The Bible's silent about this idea of dating.
And why? Why is it silent about dating?
I don't know. Why do you think?
Because it didn't exist.
It
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
It was not a cultural thing to date.
Right.
That's a very this century type
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that you and I understand. But even in, I mean, that's even Americanized. There's parts of the world that they still don't do this,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So this is just you and our mind
Yeah.
frame. And so they had like arranged marriages and courting, and that's
Right.
kind of how it went down.
Yeah. I think it's at 1900s.
Yeah.
Like when it started.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like- So yeah, not even like.
Well, it's probably with the rise of, I mean, individualism in our culture, meaning you can you
Do what
know,
you please.
right? Or
Yeah.
I mean, there was a day where there was just no choice in the way that in what you were going to do for a living, much less who you're going to marry.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And so with the rise of choice comes the rise of dating and all that. But I think one of the things that I wanted to unpack was, and Lexi made a really good point this morning when we were talking about this, that even the very aspect of marriage in Scripture, I mean, there's a couple of passages on marriage itself that we're going to look at next week, but even those are short and they point to a greater reality.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Ephesians 5, which is probably the the go-to text of marriage, that is about a husband and wife relationship and how it's supposed to exist within the marriage. But Paul goes on to say that marriage is a picture of the gospel itself.
Yeah.
And so it's not just a, guidebook to marriage in and of itself, but it's a representative of something much greater. And so dating, when you follow that guideline, dating leads to marriage, and marriage is what? A picture of the gospel. And so this is a very important part of the process because there are guidelines for everything pertaining to this aspect of our lives.
Mhm.
And so, counterculturally, one of the things that that is huge is this idea of having a plan.
Yeah.
When I say plan, like when is the right time to start dating? How do I know who this person is? Like all of those things. And so, what are some practical things that you guys think of, like that you bring into your dating relationships, or you've heard or you've read that you think are important for junior high and high schoolers?
I already mentioned one, just how when you went over to turn Bryce back on, how if you're listening to this, you're in junior high or high school probably, and therefore you're not ready for marriage. I just don't know if you heard this, Chase. You're not ready for marriage, so there's really no point of dating right now.
Right.
Not telling you that you can't. I'm just telling
Yeah.
you that it's probably not wise, and there's not much point to it if that's the end goal is not you glorifying God with someone else.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's mainly for the youth, just like, what Lexi was saying, just like
You sound like a boomer.
for the youth. For the youth.
For them young kids.
Not as that much older than them.
For them youths.
For the youngins out there, like Lexi was saying, though, for Christian dating, the ultimate goal is marriage, and so you're in middle school, and even high school. In high school, I didn't know what to do, and so thankfully I was told this was kind of taught to me throughout my life, but I just didn't see the point of me dating somebody in my sophomore year of high school or junior year. Just I was I don't even know where I'm gonna go to college. And it's I don't even know how to handle a relationship. And I was and I know the end goal is marriage. And I was I don't even want to think about marriage right now. And so I just kind of
I'm trying to play Call of Duty.
I'm just playing game with my bros. So that's kind of something I'd say about when to date is and I don't know. I'm not saying you can't, but I would say for me practically junior year of high school, senior year,
Yeah.
in like
It's
even
hard
though
to put a number.
yeah, it's like you can't set like a time.
No.
Because I know people that have been dating since they were freshmen
Right.
freshmen in high school, and they're married now. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
One of my
That-
good friends.
Yeah, but with that
Yeah.
comes a lot of other obstacles because
Yes.
if you're telling me that you've been dating then for, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years before you got married, it's a long time, you guys.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of temptation and struggle that you didn't necessarily have to walk through if you would trust the Lord and saying, you know what, I just don't think that I could, remain pure or hold up those boundaries well right now. And if that's you, then let's just not jump into it,
Yeah.
That would just be something that God would totally affirm and say, yes, that would be wise.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, if you date in high school, you will set yourself up for heartbreak.
Right.
Because like you said, those temptations do come in, and the whole, you don't know, like you said, you don't know where you're going to college even. Like you don't have a plan for either in college or after college. So how can you plan the next step with this person?
I think a good question is, so who am I looking for, And the majority of people in your middle school and high school, just right now, they're probably not ready for you to date them anyways. Does that make sense? I don't know if I phrased that right. So like me in high school, I'm a believer now.
You're not ready for me.
No. I'm a believer now. No, I'm a believer now, but I was not then. And I don't know. I don't wish that upon anybody. You know what I mean? How I treated people and how I acted, and I'm just saying the majority of the pool. First of all, is slim with being
It's like
Christian.
friends.
Christian.
We're all. It's immaturity
Yes.
abounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, if you're not ready, nobody's ready,
Yeah.
ready for you to jump in there. They probably don't even understand the point of marriage
So-
yet.
I'll play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Nice.
Ooh.
It's your best role.
All right, devil.
Satan's advocate. That sounds worse.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
Way
get
more
behind me.
It's way more intense. Sorry. Rein it back.
I'm scared now.
No. So you're all this talk about, like date, like when I'm ready for marriage, all that stuff. But what about like the desires that creep in our teenage years?
Yeah.
Like, are we just supposed to ignore those things? Like, there's obviously like there's something that happens, and if you don't know, just ask your parents. That happens in your teenage years,
Or you can ask us later.
or ask us later for sure. But don't Google it.
Keep going, Jace.
But like, what do we do with that? Like, there's desires and there's urges and there's things that happen in your teenage years. Do we just ignore those things? Do we just suppress those things? Like, there's going to be an attraction where you like a girl or you like a boy. Like, what do we do with those? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not gonna claim to be some like love guru for middle schoolers and high schoolers. Like I didn't do
Really
things.
weird.
Well, I mean, like I didn't do things super well. Like
Right.
truthfully, throughout high school, middle school, and stuff like that. And I think that maybe even a lot of people listening in on this are like, well, I haven't done things well already. I'm dating someone right now.
Right.
It's like, what do you do with all that? It's like, the best advice I can give is like stop, take a deep breath, and breathe. Slow yourself as much as you possibly can manage. Well, I'm serious. It's like you're gonna want to move, 1,000 miles an hour because it's just, you're infatuated with someone. It's excited. I like this girl. Like she's cute. She has nice hair. Like this is awesome. And that's the extent of it. It's like I want to date her or whatever. And it's like, just take a second, like slow down and breathe. Most of the time, I think you're going to find that infatuation passes anyway. But like, just practically just try to slow down a little bit and like, just give yourself some time to think, because you're going to be, emotionally caught up really, really, really fast with stuff. And you're going to find out, man, that was just me wanting to, not feel lonely or be affirmed by this person. It wasn't really anything good. It was just, I'm wanting to get something out of it. So just slow down and breathe.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's just like, yeah, just if you really do think you like want like to date somebody in however young you may be, it's just like kind of just sit back.
Oh, I'm not the only one who turns it off. Oh, never mind.
Huh.
It was-
Oh,
it
jeez.
was
I'm
dead.
way louder than Liz. So, this is how far I have to be to talk right now. Yeah, just if you think like you do want to be in a relationship of any kind, like at that young of an age or whatever age you may be, yeah, just sit back, kind of like breathe and think about it, and just kind of think of why you want to be in that relationship.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, do you want attention, or do you want to like date this person because you just think they're attractive, and like what's the purpose behind you wanting to date that person? And I would just say like invest that emotion into like friendships though. Like,
Yeah.
'cause you
Yeah.
I feel like the ultimate feeling out of that, it's like if like, and I know for 8th grade, 9th grade me, it was just like, if I liked somebody, it was for the wrong reasons. And ultimately it came down to me just wanting like attention, or if I just wanted affirmation or just something like that. So then, yeah, just take that energy, kind of like figure out why you wanted it, go to your friends and like just invest in them, and you'll get that. Like, you don't need to have that aspect of it. So.
I know we're going to talk about boundaries and stuff. It's kind of like all comes together. So
does.
if we were
Yeah.
talking about how you're probably not ready just because of your age, if we're just solely going off that, and then we add to it that, and may I add to, it's because do you have a job and, you know what I mean, like freedom? No, you live under your parents' roof, so why would you be thinking about marriage right now? Therefore, you should be thinking about dating. So let me just add that. But also at the same time, so if we're not ready, like age-wise, and if the boundaries may be that I should just, like have like it should be like a friend relationship,
Group date.
then
Yeah.
there's really no point right now in you dating at all. It may look like group dating if you want to call it that, or you just have really good friends, and that's really all it needs, where it needs to be right now. And let us just explicitly say that as you're gonna be like, I'm saying that, Chase isn't, but I want to put words in his mouth. Like as your youth pastor and staff, just like that, you probably shouldn't right now. Just with boundaries and setting all of that up, there's really just no point right now.
Yeah.
Now, later on, come back to us and let's have the real conversation of what it should look like, and we might get into that too, but yeah.
And the who to date.
Yeah.
The Bible does not explicitly say you should date so and so.
Your
No, it told
soulmate.
me.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, date Jay.
Jace is all right.
I'm just kidding. No, I didn't.
He's
No,
the fairest of them all.
I would just.
All right.
Just the.
That was
just,
not scripture. That's
Just-
a Disney.
That's Snow White, right?
yeah.
Yep.
The who to date aspect of it though, it's like it's not a specific person. Obviously, it's not going to tell you who to date, like the person, but just the general idea of a good Christian. Like they have the same views as you. Like, I don't know. It's one of my big things is the whole flirt to convert aspect of dating.
Missionary dating.
Yes, like I'm gonna date them. They're not a believer, and it's just like I'm gonna date them to convert them, and and that's just like there's a lot of things with that. But yeah, it's just I see married couples that are like they're married and they just but like one's a Christian, one's not a Christian, and to me that's super hard to see just even in the dating side of it, because for a Christian your ultimate goal is to glorify God and just live your life for God, and just be a light for Him, and just but then like your soulmate or you're just the person you're dating, that's not their ultimate goal. It's like, I don't know, I just don't see how you can do that without one giving in eventually, and typically it's the Christian side that caves in and goes towards the more cultural side. So I'm not saying I haven't seen like somebody date somebody that's not the same like religion as them, and then like eventually he or she comes to faith or whatever it may be like that. I'm not saying that that's not your idea and that's not your method, but yeah, just dating somebody that doesn't have the same belief and overall goal as you is tough on you, especially. So,
and I think, Jesus talks, or Paul talks about this in 1 Corinthians, just not being unequally yoked, right? And being yoked with someone is an intimate relationship. You're right.
You got to tell us what that means.
Okay. So you know eggs, right?
Yes.
Yoked.
That's not.
It's not
means
yolk.
swole.
It's okay. It's okay, Liz. That like a lot of people do. Like it's not common knowledge.
I
for
know.
Sure.
So tell us. That's why.
So, a yoke is something that that it's like agriculture language. So it has, two animals that would be, yoked around the neck that are pulling something.
It's
right?
like let's say you have two oxen and you
Right.
have the yoke around their necks and they're pulling the plow.
Yeah.
And they have a common goal.
Right.
And so it's going in
And-
the same direction.
But not common goal only, common structure physically.
Yeah.
And so
Maturity.
Maturity. And so
two equally.
Yeah.
Like two equal. Okay, sorry. Two believers in Jesus Christ, that He's the Son of God, and you both have the common goal to love God and love people and proclaim Him to the nations, and that's your helper to get to the finish line.
Right. And when you have two unequally yoked animals, what happens? Either one pulls the other one so hard that it gets trampled and dies, literally, or you're not going in the same pace. You're not going the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it'd be like an ox and a donkey.
Yeah, impossible to get the job done.
Impossible to get the job done. And so when you're unequally yoked, that's an intimate relationship. That's that you need to share with someone who has a common goal. And like Lexi said, the Great Commission: love God, love neighbor. And so that's and I will say this. Within dating relationships, and I think this goes along with one of the questions we got on Instagram about the right person or like a good relationship versus bad relationship. You could date someone that necessarily has the reputation of quote unquote a good person
Or a Christian.
But how do they live their daily life?
Yeah.
Are they?
What's their fruit?
Like, are they following Jesus? Do you know that they're following Jesus? Are they someone who's looking out not for just their own interest, but for the interest of other people? And so I would say that even if it's even somebody your parents would say, yeah, they're a good kid, they have a good reputation or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right person.
Yeah. And they could still, I don't know, that they could still have all the things that you like that are there, like of a Christian guy, and it's like, I don't know, you just might not be attracted to them. Like that is another aspect of it, and like that's not wrong that you want to date or marry somebody that.
But it's not the ultimate.
Yeah, it's not the ultimate thing, but like that is also a part of it too, I believe. And they might have everything. They might be attractive. They might have all the Christian things that you want, but you just don't mesh with them. And it's just that's also a thing too. So yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, not forcing something just because it looks right.
Yeah.
And I went to a Christian college for a few months, and it was terrifying. It was scary because, and I know we're talking about being intentional with dating, but it was like people there were too intentional. It's just like they go to college specifically to get married. Within the first weekend of our move-in weekend, there's already people in relationships.
Wow.
So that's what people go there to do, is to get married.
Yeah.
And like we were saying before, that's not the ultimate goal, especially the ultimate goal of being a Christian. And it's the same thing. It's like that, there's a lot of morally good people, but I didn't see a lot of like Christian living there.
Yeah.
And that's something too that I think also once you start to feel an attraction for somebody, and if you're not supposed to date them, you will feel convicted by it.
Yeah.
And so just not ignoring that conviction when it comes to who to date. And
Yeah.
so, but also going back to like everybody being the extreme intentional, at Harding, what was I saying? Oh yeah, just because you date somebody who's a Christian does not mean, like you were saying, that they're like your spouse.
Yeah.
So the first person that you date does not have to be the person that you're going to stay
found a
with.
Christian.
Right,
Yes,
Jace?
it's like you can't even look at the opposite gender without them thinking like, oh my gosh, they're my wife.
Yeah.
Like, they just
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think too with what we were saying before, like if you'll be able to understand that too better if you get to know them first, get to know the person, become friends with them, be in that friend space, so know this person is somebody I can see myself marrying before you ever even think about like, hey, you want to be my girlfriend or my boyfriend,
Yes.
right? So that's where we as a culture, we have to remove ourselves from what culture does, which is jump head first into it and say, let's build up to this, and knowing before you get into that dating relationship that this person I already know is somebody that I could potentially see as my spouse because I've seen them serving the Lord. They love Him with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. They are they're members of a local church. They are serving God, and you know what I mean. Like those are things that you kind of want to see, which you probably don't see yet in middle school, high school.
I remember this happened probably this was during football season, because one of my really good friends at Harding, he was talking about this girl that he met at a football game, and I guess they hung out after the football game, and he was like, I'm gonna ask her to be my girlfriend.
Ooh.
And he was like, when do you think I should do it? Like, I need your help planning this. And I was like, you literally just met her today. And he didn't listen to me. And I was like, I'm not telling you not to date her eventually, but you need to actually
Be patient.
get to know her
Yeah.
as a person before you date her. But
Sure.
he didn't listen, and he dated her, and the relationship did not end good because they were completely different people. It wasn't like
It's just a good
peaceful ending.
4 hours
Yeah.
to get to know them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I don't know. That kind of goes into the next question.
Yeah,
I
and
feel like,
just for time's sake,
yeah,
let me kind of wrap up here with I have to quote my guy, TK, Tim Keller.
okay. I thought you were gonna do KB, but
No.
you said my guy. So.
To understand like what dating is and really the aspect of romantic love, like we talked about, you first have to delight in God. You first have to understand who and what the source of your true delight, because just like every person, every relationship that we looked at so far, if you put your delight in that person, they will fail you. Your friends, your parents, everybody is going to fail you at some point. And that's not a pessimistic view. I think it's a realistic view of not holding to people to standards that they can't bear. And so when you think about a dating relationship, Tim Keller talks about this idea of falling in love is getting a glimpse of someone, of who God is creating them to be. So seeing someone like on a journey in their sanctification, their growth in Christ, and saying, I see who God is making you, and it excites me. And I want to journey alongside of you and be a part of that, and journey with you, like in growth, like to grow alongside of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's part of falling in love. Like that's part of dating, is seeing someone, not just physical attractiveness, not just what they can bring you in popularity, but seeing someone in their in their growth as a believer, and being excited about that and saying, man, I really want to partner with you in that.
Can I add? Just I don't know if you're done, but like the thing that drew me most to Jace was his faith and his walk with God. And that honestly is your top priority. All culture is going to say, like, is he cute or is she cute, or can they do this for me, ABC, you know what I mean? Like, that I'm just saying, like,
Jason
that's
didn't
what
check those boxes.
no, Jace checks those boxes too. But I'm saying, like, but that's not what you as a believer, we have to look at dating totally different than what our culture does. So our culture just snaps or says, hey, you want to do this? We don't do that. You know what I mean? We have face-to-face conversations and build friendships with people before we jump headfirst into something. So basically, whatever culture's doing it, kind of just lean back for a second, analyze that, and look at scripture and say, I don't think that was probably wise. I should probably know that person before I jump into that relationship.
Yeah.
And I should know that they know their Bible, they're reading, they're in God's word. That's what's important, way more than if they fill these other boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what the people at the porch were talking about. Actually, was like going into like a dating relationship as like a Christian, though. It's just like when you see somebody, as from my perspective, when you see like a girl you're really into and you just find them physically attractive, it's like that's not enough, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it's like you just don't go to that person and be like, hey, you want to go on a date? Like, that's not how it goes. And it's like once you find that out, you're like, hey, I like the way they look. And then you're just like, wait a second. You like start doing like background checks, not background checks, but like you figure out who their friends are, and you like kind of like get more insight on who they are, and then you hang out with them in like a group, like with friends, and then you just spend time with them, and then after like kind of spending time with them and getting to know them a little bit more, then it's like time to just be like, hey, like, you want to go like on a date and be really intentional with it. But but yeah, you just don't, as like a Christian standpoint, I don't know, it's just you don't see somebody like, the biggest one for me is like church camp. Like, I know a lot of people who went to church camp just to go and try to find a short relationship. But yeah, like even at church camp, like I don't know,
But they're Christians, John.
What?
But they're all Christians,
But they're all
John.
Christians. They go to church camp. But you go and then they see somebody, and then like by the end of the week they're like like dating.
Yeah,
and
she's my wife.
You're just like, whoa. You're like,
dude, I think I love her.
I know everything about her. No, but yeah, just the aspect of Christian dating is just before you even start dating them, get to know them as a friend, and then just because like they could just seem like a good person too. But then like Jace was saying earlier, like once you like be around them, like they might just have a good reputation, but once you're around them, you actually get to see if they are like living like Christ. And
a good person doesn't necessarily mean they have the same purpose in life as you.
There's a lot of good people out there, like it's just like that don't even have the same religion as us. There's a lot of good people. It's just just figuring out the goals.
You might find yourself dating someone for a little while, like wow, they check every single box, but at the end of the day, it's like we're going different places. They want to go do this, like live here and do this ministry and be next to these people, and I'm trying to be in a different state. Like that happens. And on top of all that, also make sure you know yourself and that you can lead yourself well. Because I guarantee you, if you don't know yourself and you're not a whole person and you can't like lead yourself in life, not perfectly, but if you're not a whole person, there's no way you're going to be able to help lead someone else. If you don't have a good me, you're not going to have a good we, which is my famous stolen line from someone I can't remember.
It's okay to be single. I'm not just saying that now. But yeah, that's like one of the best advice I got from my sister-in-law. It's just like in a time of singleness, like 2 years ago, I was in like I wanted a relationship, or it wasn't a want. It was like I need a relationship. That was the kind of the mode I was in. And then she came up to me. She's like John, she's like, this time of singleness is something you can't get back once you are like dating or married. And it's such a special time because you grow yourself in Christ, and then you figure out who you are, you figure out what you want and all these things. And like if you don't know who you are or have a firm foundation, firm faith, going into relationship, like I know for me too, like that was tough for me. It's like, oh, that would change once I start dating somebody, and then like, oh, that would change once I marry them. It's just like, no, it gets harder once you start dating that person or marrying that person. So yeah, definitely like in your time of singleness, just grow and grow, and then not really need a relationship, because like you're saying, that's not our ultimate goal. Is
Right.
like
Let me add to. Oh, go ahead, Liz.
But anyways, another thing too, and this kind of backtracks a little bit of what we were talking about last week with parents, and like there's literally a cycle of the kind of people you're attracted to, the kind of people you will date, and you can look back in generations of your family. Maybe there's some people that broke the cycle, maybe there's some that aren't. And so if you're at a point where it's like you're old enough to where dating is a possibility, and this kind of goes along with what you were saying, Bryce, like make sure that you lead yourself well before you get into that relationship. Make sure that you are, like, this doesn't mean that you have to perfect yourself and polish yourself up for a relationship, but make sure you're emotionally healthy, make sure you're, mentally healthy enough to handle a relationship. And because there's a lot of factors that come from our parents that we will carry over into a relationship.
Yeah.
and sorry, just one more thing. Something that I heard though this week too, just like like when you're dating, it's like even Christian dating feels like an interview. This is what I was kind of telling you on like last night. It's like Christian dating feels like an interview at times. So like you're trying your best to like show that you do have these qualities. Like for me, it's like, oh, I have these qualities to lead. I can do this. I can guide you towards Christ. But then like you don't ever show your bad side, and you don't ever show who like when you stumble and stuff like that. So like the quote, I don't know the exact quote, but it's just like we try to like portray this perfect Christian, even though that's the Bible tells us that we're broken humans. And it's like it's just the way, like, yeah, even in a relationship, it's like it's okay to like be broken, not have it all together. Because I know for me, I struggled with that, like, because I was like, I wanted to lead in stuff like this, and I put myself in, like, I feel like I put myself in a spot where like I tried to make it look like I never stumbled, so I could check off like these boxes, but then ultimately like I was like there were areas I needed to grow in. So like it's okay to be,
which is
like,
kind of one of the things that dating, or not necessarily dating,
Yeah.
but your marriage should shape you in. Like, this is two people that are meant to help each other sanctify one another, to point each other back to God. You know what I mean? So like you're saying, like, to be okay to be vulnerable and broken because you're broken sinner just like them. But ultimately, not even just for like dating, that's more mainly for like a marriage relationship, but for your dating relationships, majority of the time we're all jumping into something that we want that person to satisfy us and tell us that we're valuable, that we're worthy, that we're beautiful, that we're you know what I mean, whatever it may be, that ultimately we're trying to find satisfaction in someone else, a human, and that doesn't work. Like, even we'll talk about next week, marriage does not satisfy you. Only Christ satisfies. Only He makes you worthy. Only He deems you, you know what I mean, righteous. You know what I mean? That person can't do that for you. So that's what we're probably going to challenge you today, is that keep these years of middle school, high school for singleness, like John was saying, growing in Christ, and what Bryce was saying, becoming whole in Christ, in a complete picture of what the gospel may more look like before you jump into a relationship that is only meant to point others back to Christ.
And dating's awkward.
Amen.
In this, John, dating's awkward.
Yes. Yes, that's a good one. That's a great one to know.
That is funny though, because like Christian dating as opposed to cultural dating though, there's so much intentionality and vulnerability in Christian dating, and like it like they said, like what I was listening to is like, if it's awkward, you're probably doing it right. And it's like and it's like, because like you want to be intentional, like you want to be like in the first few like dates or after that, it's like define the relationship.
Okay.
That's
I think
like
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know if
setting
awkward's
up-
the right word.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I see what you're saying though. Like setting up boundaries, which you as the guy should do
Yeah.
from the get-go, is awkward.
Yeah,
And so that's
like-
why people don't do it. So I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
And then like defining the relationship's not really a culture. That's more of a
Yeah.
Christian thing, not a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, setting boundaries, that's again a Christian thing, and it's just being super intentional, working
Yeah.
towards marriage. Like all these things can be really awkward. I would say awkward for me, but
I think
it's
the
just-
word is more, because awkward is like, I think it
has
just
a
takes
negative
it's just harder
connotation,
work.
but-
It's just hard work.
Yeah.
Like it's just easier to just be like, let's just go with the flow, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And so, all right, guys, we're about 10 minutes over, but thanks for hanging on with us. We'll probably, we didn't get to some things that I wanted to, so we probably might like have a marriage dating part 2
Yeah.
next week.
Nice.
But if you didn't hear, sad day, camp is no longer happening on May 31st.
R.I.P.
But there are some talks about July.
Okay.
Some light at the end of the tunnel.
We're
as
working
today.
on something.
We're gonna do something.
There's a pool
something.
of
We're gonna do-
Germex.
We're gonna do something.
Swim in a pool of
We're gonna
Germex.
swim.
Yeah. Whoever's got a pool, let's fill it with
That's
germs.
toxic.
Just
Yeah,
Germex.
we can't do that.
It's pretty cool.
But
Super
just know
cool.
that we miss you guys, and
Yeah.
we're figuring out ways to do some things this summer.
Hey,
But
so since you
What?
said we might continue this conversation into next week just a bit, if you had a question arise as we're talking, like, wait, I don't know what you meant by that,
Yeah.
or just something pop up, send it to us on
Send.
Instagram.
Send it. So I'm gonna give away a pizza, but I'm giving it to Cam because it's his birthday.
Mhm.
Okay. Is that cool? Is that cool with everybody?
Happy birthday.
If it's your birthday next Wednesday, I'll send you a pizza.
I'll do the fast one. Happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey!
I don't know that one.
Wait,
I don't know
that's
that
what
one.
that says?
I don't know. Maybe
So
it's not.
Cam, send me your
understood it.
address.
Cam just posted in the chat so everybody can see.
So loud.
Was that loud? I'm sorry. I figured out today I'm a loud person.
Yeah.
You just figured that out?
Cam, send me your address and I'll send you a pizza. Hopefully that will deliver
Liz
to your
is like-
address.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
I grabbed Liz's mic and I had to hold it out here the first time I got it.
All right,
right.
John, sign us off. I'm gonna go.
How do I sign us off?
It's freezing. in
What's
here.
up?
Comment, like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe, follow FBCVA Students.
Mhm.
Cam, you're lucky.
Bye, you guys.
I don't know how to sign off. This is weird.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.